It's Terry N6TLU. I just picked up a beautiful Johnson Ranger 2 from a fella. I'm getting ready to open up and do the initial inspection, but when I was looking down inside, I saw a lot of wires going different directions, and I saw a big ice cube relay hanging in it. So you know what I'm guessing? There's probably some hazardous voltages on that microphone jack. Let's take a look before I open it. All right, here we go. There's your microphone jack, pin 1 and 2. Got my meter on 1000 volts DC because you never know what to expect, right? Remember, whatever I measure is what is sitting in your microphone while you're keying it up, right? Yeah, almost 170 volts DC. So just imagine if that were to contact the case of your microphone. Kabammy! There goes your fingernails. So obviously this Ranger is going to have a different push-to-talk system installed so that it's safe. Let's get it open. Alright, here we go. Get ready for the fun. So there is the push-to-talk relay glued on top of the modulation transformer. Got a socket here. A lot of wiring. Some's taking off down that way. Some takes off over here. Kind of wraps around. Zings over there. Got some wiring coming out of the VFO, it looks like. Got a resistor here. Another resistor here. Quite the science experiment. So I'm going to have to unmod that. And what I'm going to do is install the D-Lab K1 push-to-talk system, which only puts 12 volts on that microphone jack. So it would be much safer. So I'm going to have to carefully reverse what's been going on here. So I'll start with the push-to-talk. I believe that this resistor is not part of it. I think that's actually the modulation current adjust resistor. So let's flip it upside down and see what's been going on bottom side. Alright, here's the bottom of the Ranger. Actually, it looks pretty clean. It's been recapped, which is a great thing. There's new power supply caps, but if you look right here, you can see like a heat witness mark. This is where the old modulation current adjust resistor used to sit. So yeah, it's been relocated on top of the chassis. So I'm going to see if I have an original and put that back the way it was. Looks like the drive pot has been replaced, and they used a larger one, so it appears as though there's been some carving on the chassis. That's kind of a bummer, but the drive is working fine, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. Other than that, everything looks great. There is this additional cable here, and that is tied into the 120 volts for the TR switching, so they must have been using a different type of TR switch that this plugged into, so we'll remove that too. Other than that, she looks pretty good. So let's reverse the push-to-talk system and get that straightened out. Alright, so my usual, I do not bother to trace and document this stuff. I just remove it. Then I go back to the manual, find how it was to begin with, and put it back. But what I'm real interested in is, what is the coil voltage on this relay? It's a 10,000 ohm relay. Okay, so that's what Johnson originally used when they had the vertical mount one over by the keying platform. So this is probably a DC relay, I'm guessing, since we had 170 volts DC. And that's what you would normally see. But that is dangerous. So we're going to go over to the other system and remove the hazard. So it looks like I got a little bit of cleanup here to do. Pull these wires out, and we'll get her done. Now here's another example of why you don't want to start rearranging things in your radio. All this wiring with the switching and the high voltage DC going to those relay contacts was going right through the audio section. So there's a good chance that was inducing noise. So it's a good thing we're getting this out of here. So I'm getting ready to install the K1, which needs to go right here. As you can see, I've got interference fit because of these added resistors. So this modulation resistor is not the right value, so they lowered the voltage with some more resistors in this terminal board. So since I'm going to repair push-to-talk first, I'm going to go ahead and remove this so I can get access and do a clean job here, and then we'll attack the modulation problem later. Got that modulation resistor out, and notice this gray wire running into the VFO. I don't know what he was doing there. I'm going to go ahead and remove that. And then that resistor up there on the old firewall, that's an 18K 10 watt resistor. Obviously the one in the VFO went bad, so I'm going to go ahead and put that back in its original location. Not that resistor, but I have some smaller ones, so we can get that back to original too. Just keeps on going, doesn't it? All right, I've got the new 20K resistor installed that feeds that OA2. Now let's get back to getting the push-to-talk straightened out. All right, I've got the K1 relay installed, cleaned up some of the wiring underneath. Right now I'm running the modulation resistor out on the table because I had to fix up a lot of the wiring. So here we go. Just going to test it real quick. Got the microphone hooked up. Yeah, you can hear it. It's working. Anyway, I need to get that modulation resistor mounted back up, make it safe, test it again. Alright, so I have something strange going on. Hear that little tick tick? If I go to modulation current, you can see it. I believe, so I just turn on the plate, see that? I believe I've got some bad modulator tubes. Intermittent short. That makes sense for all the craziness this guy was doing trying to stabilize that modulation current. So I need to put in some new modulator tubes and see if that problem goes away. Well, I put in another set of modulation tubes and I still have the same little intermittent buzz. The sound appears to be coming out of the modulation transformer. And if you look right here and here, you'll see that somebody's been in here disconnecting the leads to the modulation transformer. So more than likely this problem was known. They gave up and sold it. So I'm going to have to change the modulation transformer. But first I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the hot feed and see if the problem goes away. Then I'll know for sure that's what it is. I pulled off the center tap, the modulation transformer, and you can see the meter is staying still, no more pop pop. So the modulation transformer obviously has an internal short. I have to change it. Would have been nice if the guy just told me he had the problem. I probably would have paid him the same amount either way, but that's how it goes. Well, now the modulation transformer is in, the bias is good. Now I need to get underneath here and clean up this audio section. This cap does not belong. This cap is kind of hanging in the breeze, as well as these, okay? I don't like all that, and it does not agree with the schematic. So I'm going to go back to stock configuration so we have that pure Johnson audio. Alright, still in here playing cleanup, but one thing I wanted to point out, if you can see it, there's a ground lug right down there where the shield of the audio input goes, and also grounds which appears to be one of the tube pins. It's never been soldered. There's absolutely no solder in that connection. Well, I've got the audio section pretty cleaned up, ready for test. But one thing I wanted to point out is a death cap that's in this Ranger. It's right there. It's called C22. It's a 300 picofarad cap. If you look here at the schematic, it feeds the 6CL6 tube here. When this cap fails, it puts some positive voltage here on pin 2 and 9, and this tube goes nuts. I'll actually just fry these tubes and you'll be like, what's wrong with my Ranger? So consider yourself warned. Let's check the voltage on both sides of this cap. And this side should be B plus, about 300 and something volts. Over here, you're looking for pretty much zero, okay? Alright, so here we go. Here is the voltage input side. You can see we got about 386 volts. This is the output side, which should be zero. I've got negative 40 volts, okay? So that's an indication of leakage through that cap. So I have a nice mica replacement. Just power this thing down, change that cap. And I'll tell you what, if you have a Ranger and you love it, just change this cap, okay? Don't even bother testing it. If it's one of these chiclets, it's got to come out. Alright, so the chiclet is out. Recheck our voltages here. There's my input side. There's my output side. Around 4 volts. Much better than 40. Alright, so the Ranger repair saga continues. Remember this drive pod I was telling you about? The guy actually cut a slot in the chassis to get it to fit. Well, I was looking at the schematic. It should be a 25K pot. This one's kind of acting squirrely, so I thought I better check the value. I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually a 10K pot. And that is what's giving me erratic grid current when I'm trying to dial it in. Let's verify it on the meter. So you got about 13K from the wiper arm to one side, and about 6. So yeah, it's not a 25K pot. And when I turn it, there's a little grinding noise right there. There's a little pop. When that happens, I can watch my grid current jump. So it's also a bad pot. So hopefully I can replace it without having to pull the front panel. And the answer to that is no. Took the knob off. There is a nut between the front panel and the chassis. So, yep, front panel's coming off. Here's a Johnson original. Time to pull the face, get it installed. Alright, so to get this old pot out, I actually had to pry on it. It was so crammed in this area because it was the wrong size. So here is the original Johnson pot in there like it should have been. And you can see we also have some beautiful electrical tape connections that are all gooey. I'm going to get all that out of there, clean it up, solder this thing back up, and while I'm in here, I'm going to clean this stuff that came off of the old resistor that was heating up. Might as well get in here and do it right so nobody ever has to do it over. Well, there's the original type 25K pot installed. After I removed those electrical tape splices, I found that the original wiring went right back on the pot as intended. And I'm still kind of cleaning up this area, but some of that brown sludge is coming off the chassis, but now I just want to get it back together so it's safe to work on. Alright, another lovely discovery. You see that insulative coupling there in the VFO? Yeah, it's broke. So when he was in here previously messing around, he broke the insulator. So now I get to pull the VFO cage off and replace that too. And here we go. Pull off the VFO cover. Well, got things fighting me, so I'm going to have to cut back. Alright, so one problem after another. I got this screw loose, but this one has been over torqued so badly that the head is chewed up and a screwdriver won't get it out. So it looks like I'm going to have to get in here with a Dremel and do some brain surgery. See what happens, guys? One thing leads to another. Alright, it's really turning into surgery. I was not able to get the screw out, so I'm going to cut this coupling. I've removed one of the ears here. I've cut down into the set screw. I'm going to cut this tab here and try to spread it enough to get that thing off of there. Alright, she's loose. There it is. You wouldn't want me to be your dentist. Looks like the shaft is okay. There are some skid marks on it where the screws are digging in, some little burrs there. Anyway, I made quite the mess. A lot of brass shavings everywhere. I take the vacuum to it, get the new coupler on, and let's hope this is the end. Alright, another special note. You see the size of this shaft, which went to the knob up front? That's a 1/4 inch. But the one that goes on the little VFO variable cap is smaller. So you can't take a standard quarter coupler and put it on here. You're going to have to get the exact one. I may have one, but guess what? I got to tear another VFO part to get it. Alright, there's our new coupler installed on the variable cap. This side will go to the vernier on the front panel. Now it's time to clean this thing up, get the VFO cover reinstalled, lube things that I can get to at this point, put her back together. Alright, so you'll find that it is a real struggle to get this cover back on with these little spring-loaded cap adjustments. So what I do is I glue those stupid springs in place so they don't go flying when you try to get that cover back on. Otherwise, you'll play with this for hours. Alright, VFO cover is reinstalled. Now I need to clean these controls up a little bit and get the front panel on. Alright, I've got her all back together. I went ahead and took the vernier apart. So now the VFO tuning is smooth as silk. Cleaned all the controls and lubed them. Now we're ready to test. There's our plate. There's my modulation. And let's see if we can hear it coming out of them tubes. Test 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh yeah, she's a talking. This Ranger is really working great now. Well, so it turns out that this was not as good as an investment as I thought. You know the old saying, can't judge a book by its cover. This one got me. Pretty on the outside, disaster on the inside. I spent many hours repairing this thing. Just take a look at what came out of it. Yep, D-Lab got hacked by the Kobbler.
Well, looks like D-Lab got hacked today. King Kobbler smacked his payday. Better watch out what you buy today. It may have been part of my heyday.